And this is Lost Temple of Shafkan. Shafkan.
Oh, Temple of Sajkan. Yes.
Yes.
Oh man, that goes way back. That's S2, isn't it?
Correct.
That one, that's a classic high level one.
And well, no, it's only 5th level.
Oh, they've dumped it down there.
Yeah.
Hey,
I am not.
Relax.
Yeah, I think you look. It's not that high of a level, and this is a character in the module,
this isn't in order yet, is it?
which I did look up in just a second.
I gotta go through an order all these, don't I?
I'm gonna go back and do that. I just want to get them on the right shelf.
Oh, I understand. I'm not upset with you.
It was just there was
My
so
own
many
overall.
boxes. I'm like, I just need to get them on the shelf.
Sure, of course.
The
No, I
right shelf.
understand.
And then
We'll be able to get a profile.
Oh no, it's S4. It was 6 to 10
No.
level.
6 to 10th level.
Yeah, it was the original.
Well, this is 5th up.
Lost Caverns of Sajkan. Okay. And then
Uh,
after that was, or before that was Expedition to Barrier Peak.
no,
Or-
no, we're saying it wrong.
How's it
Tells me
pronounced?
It's not the right one.
Oh yeah. Different
Lost
one?
Caverns of Shafkan is a relatively new one. Because that's relatively new, as in released to 50th
Okay.
edition. Because that's Quest from the Infinite Staircase. The
Well-
Tales from the Yawning Portal is the Hidden Shrine of Tamachan.
Oh, Tamachon. Okay, that's a different
Right.
one. Here's S3, Expedition to Barrier Peaks with the veggie pygmies and the laser
That's
darts.
also in the module, the book that just came out.
Okay, they
I
combined
will be
them.
doing. I will bring the book in for Monday for our unboxing.
Okay.
But it is the latest module coming out. The Tales from the Infinite Stairway are several PAD modules.
Laser guns and veggie pygmies. A crashed UFO.
The crab there is
Nebula.
Calcatila, and it is a giant hermit crab. And I took a different mini that
It's like something out of Star Wars.
Yeah, and then we stuck the shell on it to make it look like
It
an
works.
actual crab.
Yeah, that works. That's
it's
beautiful.
gorgeous.
Yeah. Now, is that an actual shell or did your wife paint it up?
Well, it's an actual shell, and my wife
And she painted it up. Okay. She did a great job.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes to both.
What party? Yes, don't you know?
All right.
All right. Quest from the Infinite Staircase, which is supposed to be released in a few days, but somehow I got a book that early, has The Lost City, Beyond the Crystal Cave, Pharaoh, Lost Caverns of Soscan, Expedition to Barrier Peaks. The other one, that was in Tales from the Yawning Portal, I think had, White Plume Mountain was in Tales from the Yawning Portal. Also had the Sunless Citadel, Forge of Fury, Dead and Fae, Against the Giants, and the Tome of Horrors. All for the 5th edition rules.
Huh.
Tales from the Yawning Portal, disclaimer. We really need a disclaimer to tell you that it's not our fault that your character died because you decided to climb down in a monster and trap filled hole in the ground. Disclaimer, Wizard of the Coast is not responsible for dubious interpretation of poorly worded wishes granted by noble genies or other almighty entities. Please send all complaints regarding an ill-interpreted wishes to your dungeon master in the form of a strongly and carefully worded letter.
My best friend and I, one of our players, drafted his wish though with his uncle, who's a civil trial lawyer. And it was 16 pages long.
Yeah. Sheldon.
There's one way that
Ultimate rules lawyer.
the wish needs to be able to said it in one sentence.
Oh, I would not even attempt to make a wish with only one sentence. That's called suicide?
Fun.
Stupidity.
It's fun. Take a
I
chance.
don't know, some of us can write really long sentences.
Yeah, this will be the longest run-on sentence in the history. Because ain't nobody with an IQ makes a wish without qualifiers.
Have fun. Take a chance.
Yeah,
Don't live a boring life.
That is a situation that I would speak of. I had one character that had to use a wish spell because she had changed my character's gender without my consent.
What?
Yeah. And then I did go
That's one.
wish spell to deal with that. And like, oh, well, I have to word it properly now. Was given an entire week to come up with a single sentence to reverse my gender.
I will mess with you with a poorly written. I'm not going to give you a single sentence because that gives me way too much power to mess with you.
Yeah, a friend of mine's character got their gender changed to horse. And they just started chugging. Didn't say anything, just started chugging. From the fountain, whatever.
Team 4 was famous for no safe traps.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Gygax.
There's even the joke where it wasn't Gygax, but the GM says, "You're dead. You need to name a new character." Well, what killed me? I can't tell you. Why not? Your next character might want to go in that room.
Yep. All right. I swear I have a newer, more filled out version somewhere, but I'll just go with what I got here currently. So, one of the role-playing games we like to go with is Basic Fantasy Role-Playing. The third edition still used the OGL rules. Then after the kerfuffle last year, or was it the beginning of this year?
It was literally January.
At the beginning of this year, with Wizards trying to change the OGL, freaked everybody out, and BFRPG went ahead and ripped out all the OGL content in their third edition and released fourth edition. And while they're at it, made some revisions and tweaks, which I don't actually know what all of them are yet. This is a very open source community. The guy's actually in tech as well. He and I are actually not too distant in age and background as far as the tech side. And it's a thriving, active community. Lots of contributions. The forum's active. Content's being updated all the time. It's got great community peer review going on. And it's all free to download, the PDFs and the LibreOffice ODT files, so you can edit it and customize it any way you want. Make it accessible, set the fonts to whatever you want. He gives you the source files of every book. And you can get them print on demand through Amazon and elsewhere, and it's like a few bucks a book. $3 to $8, depending upon the soft covers and how big it is. And then the more hardcover and spiral bound, they might be closer to $20, but it's at cost. He's not making money at this. It's truly a labor of love. I sure hope he has a plan to keep it going when he passes on, so that the community can keep going. So anyway, they did a lot of work to get this fourth edition. We've only bought a few copies because I expect there'll be some more revisions as it goes through iteratively. But he ripped out all the OGL stuff, the names, etc., that were authorized to be used under OGL, but Wizards had threatened to claw back. That is the second time, at least, they've done that, because they did the same thing with fourth edition. they forgot how burned they got by that
Yeah.
and tried to do it again, and they got burned by it, and they backpedaled this time. Fourth edition they committed to, and that was nearly the death of Wizards Coast. They barely survived that for multiple reasons. And so, yeah, somebody didn't remember history and repeated the mistakes. And that's why we talk about history, so we can try to avoid repeating the mistakes of the past and move forward rather than just keep going in circles. So none of us have actually played through the fourth edition and seen what the differences are. As far as I know, the core rules are basically the same. We just need to start using it at some point. You should all have a copy. If you don't, let me know. Certainly at least the PDFs. Yeah. Yeah, he's doing it again, clean it up. Yeah. So some years ago, I noted that there's no solo adventure, or really, like, there's introductory adventures, but they don't really hold your hand if you've never GM'd. They're kind of old school GM, figure it out, you'll get there, but it leaves a lot of ambiguous stuff like the old days of original D&D. What's that? Yeah. And one of the biggest problems with scaling role-playing game and adoption is that whole mentor, right? What are the two major issues with published role-playing games? Relies on the mentor model
Right.
and massed learning. They rely on those. What's that?
Mass learning, front loading, mentor mode.
Yeah. Well, the mass learning, aka front loading, is one. Mentor model is the second. That's the two main models they have for propagating role-playing gaming to new players. That doesn't scale. A very limited number of people can handle the mass learning, and you can only have mentor so many people as a GM and create new GMs. So that's why there's such slow growth and adoption. In 1983, the BECME thing, we've talked about it a million times, so we don't need to hammer it. Other people here, you can go look at, we've done entire videos on the whole BECME Basic Expert Companion Masters of Mortals D&D. 1983, Frank Menser, he found the solution intuitively. Neuroscience backs up his approach, which is incremental differential learning with like hand-holding solo adventures and then work your way up. And then teach the GM how to run a group, holding the hand through with railroaded adventures until you get to training wheels and sandbox, and we talk about the RPG ability model and all that. BFRPG doesn't have any of that. That's the one flaw, is it doesn't have any of the BECME stuff. So I have proposed that, and got his okay, Chris Garnerman's the owner of it. Could we work on some introductory solo adventures and introductory first-time GM adventures? So it's two sets. Solo adventures, which will go into one book, and the introductory first-time GM adventures in a second. So he loved that idea. We started some threads in the forum, and I started sketching out some rough ideas. And then life happened, and then I come back to again, life happened. Then I handed it off to David, and that never went anywhere, so I took it back. Then I handed it off to Cyrus, that never went anywhere, so I took it back. And then now we're hoping that Kip and Elizabeth here might be able to help with some of this. Anybody, of course, who wants to help, of course, can be part of it. But Elizabeth does have a history of working with me on the workbook and on the online learning stuff, and did a good job of delivering and being able to ask questions, etc. Now, this is all on the RPG research side. This is all community open source stuff. It's not on the LSC side. These will be published through RPG publishers, but it all just comes back to the support the nonprofit. So, and of course, it'll all be freely available for download with the source, etc., because we're going to do that. That's part of the license as we do the same open source thing. So, that is the problem. Is you crack this open, it doesn't really teach you how to play. It tells you the rules, but it doesn't really teach you how to play with your first adventures, right? And there's all the adventures you download, and they're simple adventures. They're pretty easy if you know how to GM already. They don't really tell you step by step what to do. The book doesn't, and the adventures don't. So, in the training process on RPGprofessionals.com, I believe I put it up there. Let me verify before I go too far down that. There it is. Applied Activities and Gaming Roadmap. So you go to rpgpros.com, scroll down, you'll see Applied Activities and Gaming Roadmap, and click that. Oh, crud. It's a page I haven't filled out. There's a diagram there. That's the diagram I want. Let's see, materials wrote. Oh, darn it. There are pages I haven't filled in yet. I've created these diagrams. You've seen the diagrams downstairs, but I have not uploaded them. I am sorry. I need to get those up there. You see that diagram to the left of Applied Activities and Gaming Roadmap button? Or it might be above if you're on a mobile device. There's like this pathway showing this module, this module, this module. Let me find that and put that in the chat here to share with Elizabeth, and so we're all looking at it. This is your applied gaming checklist, basically, of trying to work out the best flow. So go to rpgpros.com, and then you scroll down and you see View Applied Activities Roadmap. To the left of that button, you'll see a little diagram. It doesn't go anywhere, unfortunately. Like it's a
Best you
stub.
can do is open it in a different.
Yeah, you can look at the image. I'm trying to find. I actually have these files on my laptop, and I want to put them up in the RPGSN room so you can actually look at them. I just got to find them. Let's see, training routes diagram. Is this it? No, that's the old one. Yeah, that's all the previous second edition. Let's try. Another thing I was working on was a separated BFRPG, separating it because we have the LibreOffice file, creating a separate player's manual and separate GM's manual from the BFRPG. Because I think they should be separate. I think that is a good model to separate the player's book from the GM's book. You overwhelm the players with a bunch of GM material, you make it harder to find things. It makes a lot more sense to separate it. But the whole Pathfinder, stick everything in one book, I hate that. Let's see. Where is the other? Oh, that's the old version. There's notes. Oh, goodness gracious me, oh my. It's the advancement tours. Well, I'll be glad when I get this all back reloaded into my brain. It's been since January that I last worked on all this, so getting it all back into my head. That goes down. That's old. It's old. So many iterations. Badges. It's old. There we go. This is the right version now. It's 2023. And newer in October 2023. Okay, I got it. I don't know if these are the most up to date. We'll find out. Right. Up. So, let's see how these look. Open them up here. Let's see. Which one?
It's not like the coach that I was looking at.
Different one?
It's like not filled in all the way.
This one's not filled in all the way? The one at the top? The top of the 5 I just uploaded.
It just starts with session 65, June.
Okay, you need to go to the top. I uploaded 5 of them. You need to go to the first one of the 5 I uploaded. That's way later. Those are not filled out yet. It's the top. It's the first one in that bundle I just uploaded.
Yeah, I got the first one, the one that you published.
Okay, so
Starts with IF session 1, IFCYOA.
yeah. Okay. So yeah, and you're going to want to zoom in on it because there's a lot. But this shows the flow of applied gaming advancement. These are all the things as you go through training, you're going to get this training. It doesn't have to be rigidly in this order, but this is the recommended order, right? It has a logical progression if you go in this order. So we got interactive fiction, choose your adventure, Bomble Snowman. Session 2, you choosable path to be or not to be, and then choosable path, Romeo and or Juliet. Session 3, we have the SABM, SAB, for example, Fable, and then Fighting Fantasy Warlock on Firetop Mountain. Then session 4, we've got the SAMs for BECME, SAM 1 and SAM 2, and optional SAM 3, the B solo module. Session 5, we have the Code of Conduct, and we have SAM 1, the 2017 version Flames. That's the Flames Against the Dark, Call of Cthulhu.
Alone Against Flames.
Yeah, Cthulhu against Flames, yeah. Alone Against Flames, yeah. And then we have the other ones for the 1985 Alone Against the Dark versus 2017 version, and comparing and contrasting those. And then optional Alone Against the Frost 2020 version. For the BFRPG level 0 through 1 stuff, we have the BFRPG Solo Adventure Module Basics program, which is what we got to finish creating here, starting as solo adventure modules. And the concept is the module will teach you how to make your character. You will not need to pre-roll anything. You will break open the book, and as you go, when you are asked to figure something out, you will write that down when you roll it for your character. And you will incrementally grow your character. And by the choices you make, you will create your character based on your choices. You go back and play the game again with different choices, you will build a different character potentially between a combination of choices and dice rolling. each time you can come out with a different character generator. Does that make sense? So that's the model we want to do because it teaches you incrementally, and you can experiment and play around. Like, well, if I choose this, what do I get here? Instead of, because most new players don't know if they want to be a fighter, wizard, magic user, cleric, whatever. They have no idea. They don't know what the consequences are, the choices are. So instead, we just say, you're a villager who has a sense of adventure, and you're going to go check this thing out and go see what happens. And then along the way, you'll make choices. Do you sneak up, charge up, or, pray to your deity, or, consult a book or whatever? But, I mean, they're obvious choices, but for first-time players who never played, that's a new, interesting experience. And what appeals to them is kind of like an MMPI forced choice thing. What appeals to them most will kind of weed out what they want to play in that time. That doesn't mean the next time they play, they want it to be the same thing. And so each time so it's choosable path, and your choices combined with dice rolls each time will give you a different character. So your character generation is guided. Now, of course, later you just open BFRPG rules and just roll your dice and make character. It'll be a lot faster. Obviously, it's not the fast way to make character. It is the teaching way, incremental. So that's how we want these initial adventures to be. Now, when I first worked on the solos, I hadn't broken it down that much. I was just making a solo adventure just like Beckman. And I started with that. But I want us to do these first couple of solo ones, like Sam 1, Sam 2, Sam 3, with that character generation option. So with Sam 1, it doesn't have to be character generation. We can wait until Sam 3 to be character generation, and Sam 2 kind of a stepping stone in between. In Beckme, what he does is initially there's no stats, and you're a fighter, and you have no choice. And then he tells you what your strength is, etc. Then later he tells you to go roll your stats and make a character. This is kind of a stepping stone in between. So looking at the document I have here, that I swear is not the latest version, but oh well. So again, it's to address the mass learning model and mentor model. These books are meant to use the RPG ability model aligned with the therapeutic recreation ability model, neuroscience concepts, and the cognitive neuropsychology principles of learning. So book 1 will be a accumulation of solo adventure modules that can be played alone, and book 2 is step-by-step adventures for first-time game masters. Part 1 of the solo adventure modules book is for absolute beginners that have never played any tabletop role-playing game before, or do not know the BFRPG system or similar D20 clones. Part 2 of the solo adventure modules book is for people that either have prior experience with TRPGs in general, or have already gone through the SABs in Part 1. Book 2 is for first-time group game masters, including running adventures with just one GM and one player, each of whom have only played the solo adventure modules, and neither has any prior experience with playing TRPGs. Part 2 of that book assumes you already know generally how to play TRPGs, and you may already also know one or more D20 clones. These solo adventures are geared toward just having fun playing the BFRPG core rules, or potentially learning some of the more advanced or optional rules as you go along. These can be especially helpful for aspiring game masters evaluating whether to add these additional rules to it. So there's more advanced rules you can pick from. We start with the basic rules, and then it says optional rule, and you are given a choice to add that or not add it as you go. So about your first adventure. The first adventure teaches you the very rudimentary basics of playing a tabletop role-playing game by starting out as a simple interactive fiction story that incrementally becomes a solo adventure book using the BFRPG system. The first solo adventure only teaches a few of the very rudimentary mechanics with a human fighter, so just like the Beckme model, and can be completed in about 15 to 30 minutes. The second solo adventure builds on what you have learned in the first adventure and teaches you more information about the BFRPG rules that you will need to know before you play with your first group. While you won't know all the rules, you should know enough to be able to play with others in a group setting after completing this adventure. The pre-generated PC is a halfling thief. This adventure may take between 1 to 2 hours to complete, depending upon your reading speed. You can, of course, break this up over multiple reading sessions. Additional adventures may be available in future releases to build on the first two. About your second adventure, 0.2. The second solo adventure builds on the previous rudimentary game system concepts, fleshes out the rules more fully so that the player should be reasonably knowledgeable of the basic rules sufficiently to play in a group in the future using a human fighter character. So they went from a halfling thief to a human fighter. We can flip that around, right? Because we're going fighter, then halfling thief, back to a fighter type, but more advanced. Third adventure, creating your player. So if they would like to learn how to create a character of their own beyond just the fighter class, then they should try playing through your third adventure, creating your own player character, to create the character of choice. They can play through this adventure each time they want to try to make a new combination of character, race, and class by making different decisions in the story that helps them create their PC and various dice roll implications. All right. So that's that high-level explanation. Let's see. Bunch of placeholder pages. Okay, start reading here. If you're an experienced tabletop role-playing gamer and already know the basic fantasy role-playing, you may want to skip straight to part 2. If you've never played or you're new to BFRPG, then continue reading. This book teaches you how to play a fun game of the imagination that also just happens to help improve many of your real-life functional abilities while you play. With the first solo adventure, in just a few minutes of reading, you will begin playing this game almost immediately by yourself. Now, the earlier preamble, that's probably not going to be in the front of the book. That's telling us as designers what we need to be doing. We'll probably move that to like an addendum in the back or something in the plan. Right now, this is for us to be guided on designing it. I want us to jump in with the rule of jump in and play right away. But the order of it is not nailed down yet. I'm just trying to capture the info. So 1.1, preparing for your first solo adventure. All you need for this solo adventure module, a pencil, preferably with an eraser, 1 or more pieces of paper for taking notes about your adventure, treasure, etc., 1 6-sided die, 1 20-sided die. If you don't have one, you can roll a d6 4 times or use 4d6 instead just to kind of get by. This should take 15 to 30 minutes to play this first adventure. For the first adventure, you will not need a complete set of dice, just a 20-sided die, a pencil, and a sheet of paper. In later adventures and to play with other groups, you'll need a full set of dice, and that lists the different polyhedrals of the picture. Your first player character. In future adventures, you will be able to choose other types of characters and even create your own. For this first adventure, we're going to keep it straightforward with a human fighter as your player character. For this adventure, we'll call your PC Finlay. Loyal warrior in battle is what it translates as. But feel free to name your characters whatever you wish. Generally, when playing with others, we like to clearly separate you, the player. Now, again, I want to turn all this into narrative, not expository. I'm just laying out the notes here. We want to turn it into, you open the book, and it says, you are Finlay, loyal warrior in battle. You want to go on an adventure, and it just goes straight in. But, again, I'm laying the scaffolding here, trying to explain to everybody else what I want. Because at first I just started writing the story, and then when I wanted to hand it off to David, he's like, what do you want me to do? I don't understand this. You just started with the story. So like, I verbally explained it, like, well, I need you to scaffold it. Like, all right, so all this explanatory stuff we don't want in the finished version for the public, but we need it as far as the guidelines of what I'm trying to go for. Does that make sense?
You have this part that you're saying aloud.
I'm reading all of this from the document I will be sharing with you.
Okay.
I'm not certain this is the most recent version, but I'll give you what I have. If I find a newer version, I'll let you know. So, exactly. Generally, when playing with others, we like to clearly separate you, the player, from your player character and not use second-person pronouns like you and your. However, for the solo adventure, to make it a more personal connection for fun and easier to write without knowing what gender you chose for your character, we'll alternate between addressing your player character as Finlay, player character, PC, hero, you, your, etc. All right. Your first adventure! Exclamation mark. Described in this branching narrative adventure story, the you referenced in this pretend player character, it is the pretend player character PC that you are playing in the role of an inspired adventure. Just want to be really, really, really clear. It's not you, the person. For historical reasons, that's important. Prelude. A week ago, you left your hometown, a sleepy, small farming village. You traveled the countryside looking for opportunities to shine as an adventurer, seeking to truly test your mettle, making a name for yourself as a hero, maybe acquire some treasure along the way. Traveling on foot across countless dirt roads, forest trails, and even sometimes bushwhacking or trudging across hot, trackless, sandy expanses. You'd become weary of sleeping under the stars on the ground, aching for a real bed, a roof over your head, and a hot meal instead of roots, grubs, bugs, nuts, and berries. As evening approached, you saw the warm, welcoming lights of a small crossroads town known as Dustvale. Spending the last of your coins at the bustling, dusty inn on hot food and refreshing drinks on your parched throat. You rested your weary body in the inn's tavern near the crackling fireplace, sipping your drink, reveling in simple pleasures and people watching. During the evening, you heard the people in the tavern discussing that in the hills, nearby to the east, there were caves filled with treasure, guarded by dangerous traps and monsters. Recently, these creatures had begun to wander out at night and were starting to plague the village and farmers in the surrounding country. Now, we're not going for originality here. We are going for scaffolding and trading. So it's okay if everything is a trope. The same old, same old. As long as we make as fun as we can. What's that?
Tropes are tropes.
Yes. The villagers would be so grateful for anyone brave enough to go up there and clean out that troublesome location. You also heard rumors of one or more bandits in the region, causing terror throughout the area, robbing and sometimes killing the innocents unable to defend themselves. If anyone could catch the culprit or culprits and bring them alive to the town as a prisoner to face justice, everyone in the region would see you as the hero you hope to become. And important emphasis on using the word hero. That's not very popular in recent years. Very much we want to emphasize heroic play, even though there is backlash against that in the last 10 years. There's a lot of backlash. Yeah, well, there's become a movement against heroic anything. And our research is quite clear that heroic play is highly beneficial. And this other stuff is highly detrimental. So, anyway, we play all kinds of anti-heroes and everything else, but we want these to be a maximum benefit to the widest audience possible, starting now. We can get more nuance down the road. All right. In the chilly pre-dawn twilight, you began hiking the several miles toward the East Hills, looking for clues leading you to the monster's lair. Your first adventure begins traveling to the site. It is now a beautiful, warm, late spring day. All seems safe and calm as you leave the dirt road and follow the animal trails in the forest around it. Now, I want along the way already some branching choices in here. I'm just writing this down while I can capture it for the setting. We need to go back and branch it and give choices, at least one choice in that first page, and we'll go from there. But I'm just trying to capture it, and then I have a choice in the next one. Around 10 a.m., you arrive, all seems safe and calm as you leave the dirt road and follow the animal trails in the forest surrounding the hills. Around 10 a.m., you arrive at the edge of the first copse of trees. Following the trail through the initially sparse woods, you are searching for the cave entrance rumored to be somewhere along this trail. Looking to and fro while searching for clues of the cave, you are also alert for any dangerous creatures or people nearby that might be waiting in ambush. The forest is steadily becoming denser. There could easily be danger lurking in any one of the many deep shadows cast by the trees, concealed in the contrast between the bright daylight and the cool shade. Peering around, at the moment all seems safe and quiet, and that's redundant, but anyway, though you know that appearances can be deceiving. Gritting your teeth following the trail, you step across the threshold of a much denser part of the woodlands. After a few minutes, you come across a small stream intersecting the path. You're wearing your armor and carrying all your gear, adding to the increasing heat of the day. Choice number 1. Again, we could have ones earlier. You have a choice now. What do you want your player character to do? Do you, 1, stoop down to the cool water and you soak your head briefly to cool yourself? Go to result number 1 on page 1. 2, take a deep drink from the cool, refreshing spring water and refill your nearly empty water skin. Go to result number 2 on page blank. 3, ignore your thirst, the heat, and the temptation of the spring. Stepping over it and continuing on your way, go to result number 3 on page. Each of these has a consequence. And that's why I think, I believe I have a more complete version because I thought I wrote out these results and consequences. Right now they're blanks, so I'm worried I have this says 2023 Yeah, May 2023, and I swear I have a newer version than this. So I will keep looking. But it'll just be added to this. It's going to be the same thing. Yeah, and maybe not. Maybe it's entirely possible since May, my life has been chaos. It's possible that's where I stopped. All of this was in my head, and I didn't get it written down, and I'm sorry if I didn't. The point with result 1 and 2 and 3 is encounter number 1. Just as you finish, you hear a twig snap in the cluster of trees about 100 feet behind you. Choose what your character is. That's like going for the drink or something. A, keeping your back turned to the noise, trying to calmly act as though you didn't hear anything. Stop at your water skin and slowly get up, casually looking around. Number 2. Result number 2. B, drop the water skin. Stand up suddenly, whirling around to look at the sound while grabbing your speak and hold it out threateningly. What? Grabbing your sword, I would assume, and holding it out threateningly. Squeak, I don't know. C, cautiously stand, looking over shoulder and turning slowly and ask, who's there? Go to 4. Number 2, as you casually look around, you briefly catch a furtive movement in the shadows of the trees 50 feet to the south, then nothing. Number 3, as you whirl around, dropping the water skin on the stream bank, you see someone dressed in green and brown clothing darting between the trees 50 feet to the south. They run behind a large tree, disappearing from view. Number 4, as you cautiously stand, looking back over your shoulder, you see nothing untoward. All right, so now jumping to the page again. I don't have it all here. This is just captured. Taking a swig from your water skin that you filled from a stream half a mile back, you unpack your lantern, fill it with oil. Oh, this is wow. That was for going into the cavern. Why is that out of order? The whole cavern description's gone.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Faded.
Fading? Okay.
We ever get later, but
Well, then it's combat rules, how to fight. Anyway,
another question.
yeah.
Tracking these kind of stories, website tool, or online thing.
Mine have, probably, right?
There is a tool for making.
Oh, you're talking about Twinery.
Yes.
Yes, Twinery is the tool to use for this, correct. That is correct.
I knew there was one. and I-
Yes, Twinery is exactly what you will do. You'll take these things and put them into there.
Yeah.
I'm just brain dumping, but it needs to branch out because this won't scale if you don't.
I have done those if that
Yes.
is on a single page
Yeah.
document, and it's
It multiplies. It is. That's why Twinery. Now, we have done this already with BCI RPG.
okay.
We did an entire module based on Shakespeare's The Tempest, from beginning to end, and made it all in Neverwinter Nights with the Aurora toolset. And it's a working server and everything, and we've made all the characters and NPCs from Shakespeare's The Tempest. It's the island in the Bahamas or wherever it was. It's a real island. It's actually referenced. You can find the map actually overlays the real world. In the 1600s, there was a shipwrecked captain, and Shakespeare based it on that. So we used all the information, and we put together all of that years ago using Twinery to figure out all the branching before we ever got into writing the adventure in the video game. So Twinery works beautifully for that. Absolutely.
I've done like 1 to 2 session
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah.
In a Google Doc.
Yep.
But it got complicated.
So something got deleted by accident here because there's a whole going into a cavern or not thing, and there's a big blank space now. So, and then I say taking a swig, you then get your lantern out and go in, and like, what happened to the whole? There was a whole section here. So again, I got to find the right file to send you all. But I wanted to give you a heads up. It's scaffolding. Exactly, that's what I was hoping for. Elizabeth, does this sound like you want to collaborate on this still?
What?
Oh, we lost her. Yeah, almost. So just checking, does this still sound like something you want to collaborate on? Okay.
I just didn't hear the question.
Okay, sorry. So anyway, I'll try to find a more recent version that isn't missing as much. It's barely there. And remember, the key thing we have to do is we have to introduce the rules step by step. So this is a concept that needs to be fleshed out majorly. But we need to start moving forward. And it'll go quickly once we get going. If we get together once a week, check in on this, just like I do with the video game group. We just get together for 2 hours, and most of the time we just check in for 15 minutes, and everybody goes and writes code, and then we just hang out in case we have a question. And then throughout the week, we work on it when we can. But at least every weekend, we've moved it 2 hours forward, 2 hours forward. And even if it's just an hour we set aside, I don't think we need 2 hours for this. For programming, we need a little more time because of bugs and stuff. But if we just pick one day of the week that we keep at least the three of us, others are welcome, get together and just keep trying to chisel away at this, we'll fly through it before we know it. And I really, really, I have made this core to our training. We cannot proceed in our training now without this being in place.
Lots of writers.
Yeah, the three of us together I think can crank out a lot. I can help with guiding you. You guys can take care of the nitty gritty details for me, please. And I think between the three of us, and we all put our names on it, and I think, and we have a whole community that will help us debug it and test it. And I've made it a requirement for our training to do this, so the pressure is on, so we can move forward. But I think it'll be hugely beneficial not only to us, to everybody. Dan, do you have thoughts? All right, I think we're going to wrap it up since everybody's fading here, and I'm good on that. I wanted to do some OD&D, but what? I was faded when I got here. What's that?
Are we scheduled to stop at 7?
Yes.
7:30. We
Oh,
start
yes.
because when we have Tolkien Society, which is on the second Saturday, it's got to be a half hour later, and we might as well just keep it that way anyway, if that's okay. So 3:30, 7:30, and we can stop sooner as we need to. It's just us. We make it as long as short as we want, as long as we're every other week moving forward, and then the off weeks we're at Spark, so we're moving forward. We're getting momentum again. That's what we lost, and we need to get it back. And so good. Elizabeth, anything you want to add before we wrap up?
Are we meeting next week or the week after?
Week after. So Spark Central is first and third Saturdays, and no additional training. You and I can meet on Sundays weekly. And if you want, we could double up if you're available. Are you available on Sundays? What time did I book that with you? Noon? Elizabeth?
1.
1. Okay. Does that work? Does that work for you?
Did she one time, Elizabeth?
I need
Yeah.
some, well, I don't mind if you're there, but I need tomorrow to talk to Huck about how me working like as an arm of professionals
Yeah.
with local organizations will work.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um.
all right.
Yeah. So
I can do one, but if you want one time, I can show up.
you could show up like 1:30 or something
Okay.
like that. So yeah. So Elizabeth, you and I will have our regular 1:00 meetings every Sunday. That works for you. But training will only be on the second and fourth Saturdays. If we have a fifth Saturday, it's a day off in the month. Is that clear?
In terms of working on module stuff with for me it will have to be either like after our Sunday meetings.
Yes. Well, basically, she'll show.
Saturdays.
Right. What we're saying is, you and I meet Sunday at 1. She then joins us around 1:30 or so.
Okay, so you're talking about that regular.
Weekly on
That
Sundays.
works.
Yeah. As far as you and I, 1:00 every Sunday, and then the BFRPG SABMs, we start those at 1:30. Kip joins us, and we shift gears as we're ready to, and we do that for an hour or so each Sunday. And if you need more time when we're checking on Sunday, that's okay. We'll adjust. Then, as far as Saturday training, we're only going to do Saturday training on the second and fourth Saturdays, from 3:30 to 7:30 Pacific time. And if we need to do shorter, we'll do shorter. You know, from time, because we're on a less rigid schedule now for now. So we'll be flexible about that, but we'll make it 3:30s on the second and fourth Saturdays.
Kip, I'm getting an energy boost from you because I'm gonna be blitzed.
Ballroom blitz.
Are you?
By which I mean exhausted. I'm GMing.
Oh, okay. I had a friend who was her CB handle was blitzed because she partied so hard. So In the 80s, blitz means, wasted on drugs and
I don't-
alcohol.
Well, the thing is, I don't like do any of the things that get people wasted, except I get wasted when I get tired.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So
It's
are you running
exhausting.
games on Sunday?
I'm either running or playing games on Sunday. Tomorrow I am running, and I will be very tired. I will be. So yeah. So I'm absolutely up for meeting, but I might be in a state.
Okay. Yeah, we'll try to keep it like 2 hours.
Yeah. We're trying not to burn people out. That's what we're trying to move forward.
Like, that's about the most I'm gonna be able to do,
Yeah.
and not be like, I
Yeah.
need a day off.
We're only talking about an hour.
Yeah.
It's an hour and a half. So we just get some forward momentum.
Handled both ends, we added extra ends to convert.
Yeah, it's a pretty good game.
Yes, Dan. Yes.
The LLC,
Yes.
I mentioned that the manual connections.
Oh, really? Oh, that's right. You did mention that.
Yeah.
Oh, go to. So, go to on the left hand side. It says notifications time sheets. All right, everybody else. Well, I mean, you guys are waiting for me for a ride, so never mind. Elizabeth, go to bed, get some sleep. We'll be back later. I'm gonna do something.
Night
broadcast.
off.
Be well.
Have a
Take
good
care.
night.
I'll see you tomorrow, Elizabeth.
Good night.
Yeah. You too.